Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the hopeful elect of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. Got to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah, the Most High, the Heavenly Father. His Hebrew name is Yahweh, not Yahweh, not Jehovah, not God, not Elohim, not Most High, not Lord, not Yah, not Jah, not Ahaya, not Allah. It's Yahweh, and His only begotten Son name in Hebrew is Yahweh Shah. Not Yahshua, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos, not Jesus Christ, not Serapis Christos, not Yeshaya, not Yehoshua. It's Yahweh Shah. So we got to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rekah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elder bishops and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all of Israel, whether accepted or not. And a sincere salutation to all the arching pushing this truth and believing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hopeful elect. And shalom to the outwalk who are listening and learning, you few sisters who are listening and learning. I'm Isaiah from GMS Orlando Camp, coming into another lesson in truth, facts, faith, and edification. Another day of edification, Lord willing, it's be edifying. So I titled this lesson, Concerning These Times, News and Prophecy. Lord willing, it's be edifying. So this is copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing non-profit, educational, or personal use tips to balance in favor of fair use. You see it. So I got some news clips here. Then we're going to get some precepts, Lord willing. All right, let me turn this volume down. This is concerning these times, news and prophecy. My volume set when I act funny. Bear with me here for a second. All right, so check this out.
Let me tell you a story. The year is 1933. The German economy is in a shambles. The war has left the country battered. The Treaty of Versailles has forced Berlin to pay war reparations. How much? 132 billion gold marks. That's some 31.4 billion US dollars. Germany.
Shalom to the Akim Awaf on the comment board tuning in. Shalom. Yahabashim Awashah. Bahashim Rekah Kodash Barakathum.
Is in debt. Germans are demoralized. There is social unrest. Two successive rounds of elections have failed to restore stability. There is post-war hyperinflation. There's unemployment. There's uncertainty.
Hyperinflation is coming, man. Okay, hyperinflation is coming. Just wait for it.
Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party decide to exploit this crisis. On the 30th of January, Hitler is sworn into power. He is the new leader of Germany. The rest, they say, is history. Moral of the story: financial distress and inflation have the power to change the course of history. And throughout this week, we told you what's happening around the world, how stocks are falling, how currencies are losing value, fuel is becoming more valuable, prices of basic commodities are going up. Tonight, we'll tell you what an inflation means, not for your purchasing power or the money in your bank, but for the world we live in. What does inflation mean for the world order? Hello and welcome to Gravitas Plus. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay, and this is our world. A conglomeration of democracies, authoritarian regimes, and constitutional monarchies. Will it remain this way post-inflation? Today, our world is interconnected. It's close. There is free flow of trade. Will it remain this way after the financial crisis? You see, inflation affects politics, policies, global priorities, and poverty. And we'll talk about all four, starting with the first P, politics. Inflation is often called the mother of political change. I told you what happened in post-war Germany. Well, Europe is at war again. This war has contributed to inflation. There are protests the world over, and protesters can be unforgiving at polling booths. Ask former US President Jimmy Carter. When he was in office, oil and food prices had shot up. Unemployment had jumped. Inflation brought Carter down. He lost re-election to Ronald Reagan. Today, food prices in the US are up 10%. Fuel prices are up 8%. Come November, President Joe Biden faces midterm elections. Chances are inflation may seal this election. It could well change the course of American politics. In India, leaders know the link between inflation and elections. In 2014, when the Manmohan Singh government lost the parliamentary polls, inflation was said to be among the big reasons. Now that you understand what inflation can do to governments, consider this.
So lock it for the infomercial.
Red means excitement.
These devils.
Red means culture. Red means indulging.
Currently, global inflation is over 7%. Food prices have gone up at least 7%. About 50 countries go to polls this year and the next. This includes Brazil, Israel, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Turkey. If prices continue to rise, these leaders may find themselves out of office because rising prices can topple governments. They can also change the fate of a country. Look at Venezuela. It has the largest oil reserves in the world, but where is it on the global map? It's in the throes of a political crisis and inflation. In fact, hyperinflation. Between 1973 and 2022, prices in Venezuela have gone up 3,729%. 3,729%. Let that sink in. And now allow me to also tell you this, that this is not the worst number. In February 2019, inflation in Venezuela had reached, wait for it, 344,509%. 3,44,509%. By then, the Venezuelan currency was junk. They said using cash as toilet paper was more prudent than buying a roll. What happened then? More than 6 million Venezuelans left home. That's nearly 20% of the country's population. And what was once the richest country in Latin America is now struggling to stay relevant. No country.
And remember in Venezuela, they was eating the zoo animals over there, man.
Country wants to meet that fate. No country wants to be wiped out by inflation. So what do? We come to the next P, policies. Countries change their policies, or should I say inflation forces countries to change policies. Let's pull out a chart.
And who does this? The devil, man. Daniel 7:25. What it say? He shall think to change times and laws. That's what these devils do, man. The world is in chaos because of the wicked, man. Job 9:24. Okay, the earth was given to the hand of the wicked. And the Lord said in Deuteronomy 32 that we was gonna have to live amongst this wickedness, man. We was gonna have to live amongst all these wicked things that goes on in the earth, man. Okay, in Ezekiel 4:13, the Lord said we was gonna eat out of defiled food among the Gentiles, man, because of the sins. We gotta live amongst this, man. We gotta deal with this. This affects us mostly, man, because we are the ones that's in these favelas and barrios and these ghettos, man. It's so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians, but it's affecting everybody. And the Lord said we had to live amongst this, man, and deal with this.
These countries have banned the export of certain food items since the start of the Ukraine war. Argentina has banned the export of soybean oil and meal. Algeria, pasta, wheat derivatives, vegetable oil, and sugar. Egypt, vegetable oil, maize, wheat, flour, oils, lentils, pasta, beans. Indonesia, palm oil and palm kernel oil. Serbia, wheat, corn, flour, oil. Kosovo, wheat, corn, flour, vegetable oil. India, wheat. The war has increased the prices of all these commodities. So for governments worldwide, the priority now is to control prices at home. to ensure food security because hungry voters can be unforgiving and no government wants to risk their wrath. So, come inflation, trade policies invariably become more nationalistic, protectionist. The domestic market gets priority. Sometimes diplomacy takes a backseat. Speaking of which, inflation also tends to force a shift in diplomacy. Let's consider Europe. Inflation in the Eurozone has touched a record high. What's the Eurozone? It's a monetary union of 19 EU states. All of these have euro as their primary currency, also as their sole legal tender. Currently, inflation in the Eurozone is at its highest since the creation of the euro. When was that? The year 1999, meaning inflation has touched a 3-decade high, courtesy this war. A survey published in June asked Europeans across 10 countries what they thought of the war in Ukraine. More than a third said they wanted it to be over as soon as possible, even if that meant Ukraine conceding land. This war has affected the day-to-day lives of Europeans. More than 40% of European gas comes from Russia, so does 26% of their oil. Sanctions against Russia and bans on Russian imports have hit Europeans. Come winter, they will need to heat their homes. And not everyone will be able to afford a sky-high energy bill. The war has made meals expensive. In Italy, pasta prices are up 40%. So it's not surprising that Europeans are almost equally split when it comes to the war. Some say they want peace, even if it comes at the cost of concessions. Others say they want justice. At the recent NATO and G7 summits,
And the thing about that in Isaiah 48 and 22, the Lord said, there is no peace. Ain't gonna be no justice for the wicked, man. As in Jeremiah 23, it tell you that when the Messiah returns, he's gonna bring justice. But there is no peace to the wicked. These in this the world, man. It ain't just Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. It's the world, man. Everybody's in an uproar because of who's in rulership, man.
European leaders pledged to support Ukraine at any cost. But not every voter is ready to bear this cost. Pollsters say the survey will affect European policy sooner rather than later. Europe could have to rethink its priorities. Which brings us to the third P, priorities. Inflation forces a shift in not only national priorities, but also global priorities. Climate change, for example, making climate action a global priority was not easy. It took a lot of climate COPs to convince the world to go green. Inflation has reversed this. Let me show you some headlines. Coal goes big as inflation hits energy sector. Europe may shift back to coal. Austria reopens coal-fired stations despite climate goals. Experts warn of climate risks. US makes a U-turn on green promises. Do you get the story? When inflation hits energy, when petrol, diesel, and gas become expensive, countries lean on cheaper energy sources like coal, even if that means polluting the earth and accelerating climate change. Never thought inflation could change so much, did you? Well, that's the thing. We tend to limit the definition of inflation to a change in purchasing power. While price rise is definitely the fundamental meaning of inflation, also the first fallout, inflation changes more than the money in your bank. And that's the point we're trying to make. So let's wrap with the final P, poverty. 1.1 billion people around the world cannot afford essentials like food. They live below the poverty line. With the rise in prices, more people are pushed into poverty. It has its own set of social problems like malnutrition, miscarriage, infant mortality, crime, joblessness. Inflation sets off a chain reaction, one that takes years to stop. So that's inflation 101.
And it's only going to get worse, man. It's only going to get worse. So let me get this next clip here. And these devils is doing this, man. Everybody had to conform to these devils' ways. And the end all be all is the mark of the beast.
Welcome back. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink warning that people should be worrying more about soaring food prices than oil prices. Fink saying, quote, "The one thing I worry about that we don't talk enough about is food. This isn't just an inflation concern. There are also geopolitical concerns that result from this." Joining me now, the chairman and CEO of United Refining Company, Gristedes, D'Agostino Foods, and Red Apple Group, John Catsimatidis. John, wonderful to see you this morning. Your take on what Larry Fink had to say and food prices, because a lot of people are very worried about them, and they're wondering if they will retreat as we're seeing gas prices pull back a little bit. What do you think?
Well, 2 weeks ago, I predicted on this show that we have reached peak prices on oil when we reached the 125, 130 level, and we've retreated since then. And it showed on Friday, we almost hit $89 a barrel, which was a new low. Food prices will reach peak prices in September because there's a lag between oil and food prices as they go up. There's always maybe a 90-day lag in food, 30-day lag in prices in the gas station from crude oil. The big question mark is, the recession does not have to happen. I've been talking about that. Interest rates. You know, the Fed, our White House, spent trillions of dollars to take us over the COVID crisis. My opinion is they should delay increasing in interest rates before they destroy the real estate industry and other industries in the United States with high interest rates. Yeah. Delay it 30, 60, 90 days, because oil prices, if we give them a little bit of optimism, will come down. Then food prices will stabilize, so the rate of inflation will not go out of hand. Okay. And my criticism of President Biden is he should have went to Texas. He should have went to Alaska. He should have went to Canada. He would have gotten more results in oil than he did in Saudi Arabia, which is very sad.
It's tough to go to Canada when you killed the extension on the Keystone Pipeline. So, I mean, I think he was sort of hat in hand in some ways. I think at this point, the administration doesn't know what to do, and it knows that investment is going to take 12 to 18 months to build out to see results. And so they realize that the American people finally are suffering right now. But I want to parse through some of the things that you just mentioned, John, because it's really important. I understand the lag of retail gas prices, roughly 30 days. I understand the lag and the relationship between oil and food prices, 90 days. But there are about 30% chance right now that the Federal Reserve will take the opportunity at the end of the month to hike rates 1 full percentage point, right? Which would be very impactful with respect to the housing market and everything that you said to try to cool inflation. What I'm worried about, and what I think Larry Fink was trying to get at, is that on the food side, part of this is not just about oil, it's about supply
You
side.
see that?
Supply.
It said we should worry more about food prices, man. Injecting this game out here, man. Famine, the Lord has always brought famine for disobedience, man. And this is nothing new. Take it in Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 9 and 10. Ecclesiastes 3 and 15. There is nothing new. And famine is here, man. These things are happening around the world. It just hasn't hit North America yet, man. In another video, it tell you that it's people that sleep at night, that go to sleep hungry, man. This is happening in Babylon the Great America, man. And the rent and food is going up, gas, but the checks is still the same. Because you don't get no raise every time the rent go up or the food prices or the gas go up. You don't get no raise every time things change. Inflation is happening, and you are getting the same funds, man. This is going to get worse. But the difference between the hopeful elect and 2/3 is hope, faith, belief, man.
In demand economics, the supply is too short as a result of what we're seeing overseas and what we're seeing in this country with respect to crops and yields. And so I wonder if just oil prices coming down is enough to bring us those the relief at the grocery store by September.
You need optimism from the White House point of view to the American people, because everything that's been done lately has hurt the American people and helped the rest of the world. There is a problem in food prices that could happen as interest rates go up, as there will be shortages of certain products. There's another problem that has not come to light yet, and I discussed it with Maria a few months ago, is a lot of our major factories, a lot, maybe about 20 of them, have burned down in the last 18 months or been destroyed. And nobody's really investigating what's going on in that end.
And these guys, man, these YouTubers, they is not talking about these food processing plants that's being destroyed, man. And now since the brother Fisher turned 104, the brother went into a lesson maybe about 3-4 weeks ago, maybe a month now. That it's been over 100 food processing plants, man, shut down. What do you think going to happen, man?
The Biden administration touting lower gas prices, lower diesel prices, as we're seeing the food prices soar. But shipping is also a key aspect of food prices as well. I'm wondering if lower prices with respect to fuel will help, because what I see when I look at this equation is pricing at the pump will vary because it's a commodity and we see those prices rise and fall. But whenever I've seen the price of a Starbucks, cup of coffee go up, I've never seen it come down. And the same with a lot of the popular household items that we see at the store. I mean, I wonder if some of this inflation with respect to food isn't now embedded in the economy.
It will be here to stay.
Yeah.
Because people don't take it down as easily as they take it up. And that's what I worry about too. And that's why I said we'll reach peak pricing in food by September.
Yeah.
But we worry about the consumer and we worry about our country.
We sure do.
Man, they ain't want to listen, man. And what you got to understand is these devils, these elites, okay, the ones that you will never see, they control both sides, man. They control both sides. This is Yahweh Shema Shah playing with the minds of these devils to get you out your comfort zone, man. The Lord said he was going to take away in Isaiah 3 and 1, and in Ezekiel chapter 5, verse 16, that he said he was going to take away the state and the staff. Matter of fact, let me read it. Let me get this next clip here. Let me get this. This one might have some infomercials in it, so if it do, Salaki, bear with me. But check this out.
An unprecedented food crisis is engulfing the world, supercharged by the war in Ukraine. It's brought rising food prices, malnutrition, and the potential for much, much worse.
It threatens to tip tens of millions of people over the edge into mass hunger and famine.
A global food crisis. And this is serious.
Until recently, global hunger was in decline. But since 2014, it's been rising. Over the past 2 years, the number of people without regular access to food has more than doubled. Some 800 million people already go to bed hungry every night. And now, the world's food system has been hit with a perfect storm.
2022 was already looking like a terrible year for global hunger, as COVID still continued to grip some parts of the food supply chain worldwide. You had a series of bad harvests in recent years because of climate change. This all disrupted food production.
Those two shocks, climate change and the pandemic, have meant that, according to one estimate, global supply of wheat, one of the world's most important carbohydrates, has fallen for the first time in 4 years.
And then the war happened.
So lucky for the infomercial. Hey, King Eddie King, whoever you is, put up precepts. We don't know who
Ukraine's food
Yahweh is.
exports all but stopped, trapping around 25
Over here in this truth circle, we don't know nothing about no Yahweh. Ain't no E's in Hebrew. There is no J's, V's, E's, and U's in Hebrew. So come over here with correct names of Yahweh Shema Shah or get lost. Post precepts or hold your peace. We don't know who Yahweh is. That's some name that these so-called Jews in our land made up. That's not in the Hebrew. You need to come again. Or don't say nothing at all. When you come back after your 5 minutes, either post precepts or don't say nothing, because you will be blocked.
5 million tons of corn and wheat inside the country, equivalent to the annual consumption of all of the world's least developed economies.
Ukraine's food exports are hugely important to the global food supply. It's a big powerhouse in terms of grain production. It's one of the world breadbaskets.
And with that breadbasket off the market, prices rocketed.
Imagine if you were buying your food from Ukraine, and now let's say you need to go to Canada or Australia or Argentina. That means that you will have to pay more because of extra freight, and you will have to pay more in time because it will take you longer, and you will pass these costs to the consumer.
And other shocks have made the crisis worse.
We are in uncharted territory because not only do we have a food crisis with multiple causes, but also this is coming on top of an energy crisis and also a fertilizer crisis.
Farms run on fuel and fertilizer. As prices of both have risen, farmers' profit margins have been squeezed. And if they're forced to cut back on fertilizer because it's too expensive or unavailable, their yields will fall even more, at the worst possible time.
That will impact the production of major commodities for the next year. And then we are looking at availability crisis. Imagine what that would do to food prices.
It's a vicious cycle with potentially catastrophic consequences. And nowhere on Earth is immune. In America, rising food and energy costs have helped push inflation to its highest levels since 1981. Food prices in Britain are rising at a rate not seen for 13 years. And in poorer countries, things are even worse.
جعت ما لا ولا جعت لا سميد لا زيت لا سكر لا تاخذ دبوسه زيت تقولي اندراش اخذت.
For Suad, the food crisis has already hit home. She's been selling hobstabuna, a traditional Tunisian bread made with semolina, for the last 35 years. Now, the cost of her ingredients are going up, and customers are buying less, leaving her with less money to feed her family.
صعبة تمشي الزيت غلي السميد غلي اللي كان يخفي 5 و6 ولا يخفي خبزتين ولا 3 تقطع السميد حبسه على صغاره وعلى دار يصرف.
Tunisia usually imports about 42% of its wheat from Ukraine and relies on it for sunflower oil, another crucial commodity. With those imports gone, Tunisia has struggled to find other suppliers it can afford, meaning shortages for people like Suad.
قبل أسهل في كل شيء وكل شيء خير موجود وكل شيء لا تلقى الواحد تو يمشي يدخل داره ما تلقاش حتى مغرفة زيت.
In Tunisia, hunger is turning to anger. As food disappears from shelves, there's a risk Tunisians could lose patience with their government.
I'm really concerned about how this crisis can stoke civil unrest. In 2008, we saw riots in upwards of 40 countries.
Man, hey, prophecy, man. It what is that? 2 Ezra 15, sedition, man. Uproars of the people in 2 Ezra chapter 9, man. What is that? Verse 4. It shall be uproars and earthquakes around the world, man. Peoples is pissed off, man. And it's because of these devils who's in rulership. Let me read that. 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 2nd Ezra 9 and 3 it reads. Matter of fact, verse 2. Let's read 1. It say, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning.
In 2011, we saw riots, but also the start of the Arab Spring. Today, we are looking at something which we haven't seen before.
While the Tunisian revolution in 2011 wasn't caused by higher food prices, some
So
believe
this is 2nd Ezra 15 and 14. It reads, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, meaning those that's in authority and rulership. The people don't care about who's in rulership, man. When it's a food shortage, gas is going up, rent is going up, and the check's still the same. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. This is what's going on, man. And it's only going to get worse. This is nothing. We ain't seen nothing yet.
it was a contributing factor. And it's not just in Tunisia, where hunger looks set to cause problems for governments.
De que haya familias que hoy no puedan poner un plato de comida digno en su mesa.
It's the food, man. when you don't got no clue and you don't have no vision of how you're gonna feed your kids if you got kids, man, food will drive a person crazy, man.
Economists modeling.
Hey, and just wait here in Babylon the Great. Everybody on drugs now. We talk about this all the time. Everybody on Xanax and perks and sipping lean. They done legalized marijuana. Everybody on liquor. Like everybody is like on some type of drug, man. Wait till the drugs get taken away. Wait till reality set in. WRC. When reality clears, wait till you see when ain't no more drugs out here. Ain't no more liquor. Ain't no more weed to smoke. These people is going to go mayhem out here, man. Pandemonium. Okay? Pandemonium. Pan is all demonium demons. They're going to be, the earth will be filled with demons. They're already filled with demons. They just haven't fully manifested themselves yet. And you see them, Jake turn on their parents, killing their parents, killing their grandmamas. You got Jake killing the whole family. Just wait till them drugs and that weed get taken away, man. Then you're going to see the real people, man.
Suggests that many countries could see a doubling of the number of serious outbreaks of unrest over the next year. And it wouldn't just be anger driving this unrest, but a genuine fear of going hungry. Households in sub-Saharan Africa already spend up to 40% of their income feeding themselves. A rise in prices means millions won't be able to afford to eat.
In many, many cases, their best day is like our worst day. Imagine if you are spending 50% of your income just on food. How much space do you have for anything else? And then the prices of two things which really, really matter, meaning your food and your fuel, they go up. Governments are tapped out. There are no safety nets.
Those that do have supplies have been turning inwards.
There are a number of fixes that countries are turning to. One of the unfortunate ones is protectionism. That is to say, export controls and stockpiling.
Following severe heat waves earlier this year, India banned wheat exports. In total, 23 countries now have severe restrictions on food exports. The thing is, they might be doing themselves more harm than good.
Time and again, it has been proven that it doesn't help inside the country, which puts the export ban, it doesn't help outside the country.
Export bans can make a price problem worse. Farmers may hoard their products until the ban is lifted, or they might even switch to another crop. That would reduce domestic supply further and push prices up.
Whilst you can sympathize with these countries that are doing this, the result is potentially much higher prices for everyone else.
That means the challenge faced by some of the world's poorest countries could grow even further.
We need to help governments reach their populations with affordable food, with affordable fuel, with fertilizer. And what that will require is facilities, financing facilities, which are accessible to these governments to do that.
Providing some loans at low rates through the IMF, for example, so that they can afford to import and then pay back at their own pace.
Of course, the best way to help make food imports affordable again is to get Ukraine's exports back to the global market. International negotiations have been trying to do just that. But even with a deal in place, longer-term weaknesses in the world's food system would remain.
You might be asking yourself, can you actually create high-quality live streams for
Which is why experts continue to warn about the prospects for a world that remains too dependent on too few countries for its food.
Less than 10 countries count for around 90% of our exports for key commodities like wheat, like corn, like rice, like soybean. So when there is a shock in any one of these countries, whether it be climate, whether it be conflict, you see the consequences of that across the world.
And these devils, man, we don't even supposed to be eating no soybean, man. Listen, that's why these devils gotta go, man. We should not be consuming soybean and nothing, man.
Countries are trying to insulate themselves from these shocks by becoming more self-sufficient. It's an attractive idea. And this year, the World Bank announced that it's making $30 billion available to help countries become more food secure. But it's only part of the answer to avoiding another crisis.
The reality is that it's just too economically infeasible to be self-sufficient.
Most countries will always need to import some food. And as the climate crisis worsens, global food shocks are set to become ever more frequent and harder to predict. So it makes sense not to put all of your eggs in one basket.
If you are a country which relies on imports, make sure that your import base is not so small, that it is diversified. So if one country stops, somebody else can jump in. Where is our insurance for something as basic as national food security?
Let me get this other clip. I got two more here, man. This is I'm gonna read this Leviticus 26 and 26 in the KJV, and I'm gonna read it in the NLT. So let me read this real quick. So in the KJV it reads Leviticus 26 and 26. And when I have broken the staff of your bread, 10 women shall bake your bread in one oven, and they shall deliver you your bread again by weight, and you shall eat it and not be satisfied. Right? So in the NLT, it says this. It's the NLT version. It say, I will destroy your food supply so that 10 women would need only one oven to bake bread for their families. They will ration your food by weight, and though you have food to eat, you will not be satisfied. And it's only going to get worse. Let me get this here real quick. In there's one in in Ezekiel, right? Let me pull it up here. I want to read it in NLT, and I'm gonna get it in KJV. So Ezekiel 5:16, right? The Lord, man, cold with it, man. So in Ezekiel 5:16, it reads, I will shower you with the deadly arrows of famine to destroy you. The famine will become more and more severe until every crumb of food is gone. And along with the famine, wild animals will attack you and rob you of your children. Disease and war will stalk your land, and I will bring the sword of the enemy against you. I, the Lord Yahweh, have spoken. Cold, man. So when you go to Isaiah 31, Isaiah 3:1, Salakia, it reads this: For behold, the Lord of hosts, doeth take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread and the whole stay of water. The Lord is taking this away, man, and it's slowly being removed. I got to get this. In Hosea 4:1, it reads, Hear the word of Yahweh Shema Shah, ye children of Israel, for Yahweh have a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of God in the land. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out, and blood touches blood. Therefore shall the land mourn, and everyone that dwelleth therein shall languish with the beasts of the field and with the fowls of heaven. Yeah, the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away. And the Lord talking about the things that we have to eat lawfully, like dealing with fish. You know, I went into this a while ago. You got brothers eat red snapper. We eat salmon. We eat trout, whiting, right? Flounder, cod. Then you got, let's say, the beasts of the field. That's beef, ox. Some brothers eat, I love deer meat, if you can get it, right? Then they say the fowls of heaven. That's they taking away our chicken. The Lord taking away the chicken, the turkey, right? Then you can eat quail and like turtle doves. So this is the Lord say He's taking away all the food, the lawful food and the unlawful, man. Why? It said by swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out in blood, touching blood, man. That's judgment for 2/3. And just like it tell you in Job 34:29, let me read it. We all, when they say one bad apple spoiled a whole bunch, we got to deal with this, man. And if the Lord ain't give you the understanding of what's going on, then you're gonna be doomed, man. This is Job 34:29. When He giveth quietness, who then can make trouble? And when He hideth His face, who then can behold Him? Whether it be done against a nation or against a man only. But when you go to Job 11, this is to the hopeful elect. It reads, Job 11 and verse 6, it reads, let's read verse 5, it reads, but oh, that power would speak and open his lips against thee, and that he would show thee the secrets of wisdom. It tell you in what is that, Colossians 1:26? It said, let me read it and come back to this, making a point. Colossians 1:26. The only one that's going to understand what's going on is the hopeful elect. It say, Colossians 1:26, even the mystery which have been hid from ages and from generations, but now is made manifest to His saints, right? When you go to Psalms 24:15, it reads this. So like at 25:14, it reads, the secret of the Lord is with them that fear Him, and He will show them His covenant. So the Lord is revealing these secrets, but it's only being revealed to the hopeful elect. So back in Job 11:6, it reads, and that He would show the secrets of wisdom, that they are double to that which is. Know therefore that God exacteth of thee less than thine iniquity deserve. So that's to the hopeful elect. He didn't give us over to corruption, man. We had to go through these trials and tribulations, these adversities and afflictions, but we got to deal with it too, man. But the difference is between the hopeful elect and 2/3, the hopeful elect have hope. They believe that Yahweh Shema Shai is going to deliver them. It tell you in Job 5. He said, in famine and death, the hopeful elect is going to laugh at famine and death, man. At famine and destruction, the hopeful elect shall laugh at those things, man. So let's play this.
Meantime, the Biden administration vowing to send $1.2 billion to fight famine in northern Africa. But American farmers and American consumers are struggling with soaring costs. Some say we have our own concerns of a food crisis here at home as well. John Boyd Jr., president of the National...
Now here's Jake. And this guy, there was another video a little while ago. Brother did a lesson on, went on to this guy. Here's Jake looking to this devil for help, man. And the Lord said it's a vain, it's the help of man. But this devil done programmed us to trust in them so long, like this is the only help Jake think about, man. But this devil have programmed us to not even think about our power, man. Like our power, we have a power too, man. And it's the Heavenly Father Yahweh through his only begotten Son Yahweh Shai. But these devils has programmed us so long, brainwashed us, that we gotta look to them for help, man. And the word government means mind control, man. Controlled minds, man. If the Lord ain't give you the understanding to wake up, they went into the other day about the Matrix, man. When Neo asked Morpheus, he said, "Why do my eyes hurt?" He said, "Because you never used them." 2/3 of our people is sleep, man. They sleepwalking. They don't know what's going on. But the Wadi Yahweh Shema Shai, we know what's going on, man.
Black Farmers Association joins me now. Sir, great to have you on the program. Couldn't American farmers who are really struggling with inflation right now use that $1.2 billion?
Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm sure those African countries definitely need the support. But we also have to take care of those at home. 50 billion.
You see, that's always Jake rationing with the devil. Man, in Job, let's read this in Jeremiah. In Jeremiah 2:33, the Lord asking a question here. Why trimmest thou thy way to seek love? Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways. Why is Jake trimming their way to seek love from the devil? Why? Isaiah 30:12 give you the answer. It reads, wherefore thus saith the Holy One of Israel, because you despise this word and trust in oppression and perverseness and stay thereon. Therefore this iniquity shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out in the high wall, whose breaking coming suddenly at an instance. Jake trusting in these devils, man. He got this big nigga crying on, talk about we need help. We know the Africans probably need it. Them devils don't need nothing, man. The Lord is judging those Hamites. They sold us to these devils, man. That's why you see them with their kids with the swole belly and flies all around their lip. That's judgment, man.
$1 billion to Ukraine, and we continue to help other parts of the
world. Let me run it back.
John Boyd Jr., president of the National Black Farmers Association, joins me now. Sir, great to have you on the program. Couldn't American farmers who are really struggling with inflation right now use that $1.2 billion?
Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm sure those African countries definitely need the support. But we also have to take care of those at home. $50 billion to Ukraine, and we continue to help other parts of the world. But we haven't taken care of American farmers. Black farmers have a measure that we've been waiting for over a year and a half, for $5 billion. We have to do better at taking care of America's farmers and taking care of those American people first. It's the whole issue here. And the Biden administration isn't moving and acting swiftly enough to address the farm crisis. So yes, we have the issues with climate change, but we also have a farm crisis that we're not putting first and taking care of. So you have the high cost of fuel, the high cost of fertilizer and lime and all of these upfront costs for America's farmers, and we haven't done anything in place to fix that. So as these things continue to roll out, we're going to lose more and more farmers by not acting. We're heading for a food shortage in this country, where you have different regions of the world, such as Ukraine, and that won't be producing enough of America's, enough commodities there,
Right.
such as corn, wheat, and soybeans. All of these things are going to affect us here home, and we're going to see empty food shelves in the coming months.
John, you mentioned the cost of fertilizers. I know you know the numbers. I don't know
Yes.
if our audience really knows, unless they're a farmer, the
Hey,
impact.
man, and it talks about in 2nd Ezra 14, right? Let me read this, man. Because, when we was living in the ancient time, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob didn't need no fertilizer, man. Let me read this, man. See, these devils, the Lord gave us a law, man. You're supposed to till the land for 6 years, man. On the 7th year, you let that land rest, and you go to another spot and grow. That way, through that year's time, that land rejuvenate the minerals in the soil, man. You don't need no fertilizer, man. This how far the Lord said, though. The Lord said it. He told Cain that the earth shall not yield its full strength to these devils, man. This is 2nd Ezra 14 in verse 17. It reads, "For look how much the world shall be weaker through age, and this with everything, food, the people. Look at these men today. These niggas downtown in skinny jeans and square tip shoes and square tip Stacy Adams or whatever kind of shoes they is. These niggas in skinny jeans, man. These devils have promoted emotional men, weak, feeble, frail, effeminate, skinny jean wearing so-called men, man. This how weak we is. The men is emotional and the women is masculine, man. 2nd Ezra 14 and 17. For look how much the world shall be weaker through age. So much the more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein. There is no minerals in the food, man. Now they talking about some years ago now, how a head of lettuce don't got no nutrients in it. So now you got to get romaine lettuce. What's wrong with the regular head of lettuce? Why it don't got no nutrients in it? These devils are spraying chemicals on the food. They're keeping the animals, they're keeping the whatever animals, different animals, the whatever crawling on the food, eating the crops up. The Lord talked about the caterpillar. In was that Joel 2, man? Joel 1. So the Lord is destroying these crops, man. Everything is weaker. There is no minerals. There's no nutrients in the food, man. You got this guy that did the video. It was like a little post. The guy was showing how strawberries got worms in it. The bananas got worms in it. But the Lord said in Ezekiel 4 and 13, we're going to eat our food defiled among the Gentile. This is a part of punishment. Just like getting old, getting sick, dying. These are the things that we got to deal with because we sin against the Lord, man. And I can tell you, let me read this. In Psalms 124, man, man, without the Lord, we would have been through, man. This is Psalm 124 and 1. If it had not been Yahweh who was on our side, now may Israel say, if it had not been Yahweh who was on our side when men rose up against us, and they rising up against us in food, everything, man, every way you can think of possible, man. Then they had swallowed us up quick when their wrath was kindled against us. Then the waters had overwhelmed us. The waters talking about these heathens, starting with Esau, Edom. Then the waters had overwhelmed us. The stream had gone over our soul. Then the proud waters had gone over our soul. Blessed be Yahweh Shema Shah, who have not given us as a prey to their teeth. Our soul is escaped as a bird out of the snare of the fowlers. The fowlers of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. We are the birds. It tell you that in Jeremiah 12:9. The Lord's heritage is unto him as a speckled bird, man. We birds. These devils defile us, man. It say the snare is broken and we are escaped. And that's through the mercy of Yahweh Shema Shah. Verse 8 say, our help is in the name of the Lord. You have to know the names of Yahweh Shema Shah. So nigga, come on the comment board talking about Yahweh. Go from here, man. Like them old Jakes say on the plantation, go on from here. You better get from here. You causing troubles. Hey, we don't know who Yahweh is, man. Go on from here with that, man. Our help is in the name of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah, who made heaven and earth. Let's finish this, because I got a lot more precepts, man.
On the farming community. Look at these numbers. Some fertilizers have gone up 200%. Others have nearly tripled in price. In light of what you just told us, do you feel forgotten by the Biden administration?
Well, you know, the president committed to having a meeting with me last year to discuss some of these very...
Look at this creepy guy here. Creepy Sleepy Joe. Mashed potatoes brain Joe. Hey, this where America at, man. This is what Babylon the Great at. Through, man. Babylon the Great is through, man. We just waiting. Hey, we just waiting for the Lord to turn the lights out on this wicked place, man.
Concerns that we're raising right now. Fertilizer has tripled. You know, last year I was paying close to $400 a ton, and this year I'm paying $1,100 a ton for 17.
Wow.
Last year I was paying $2.60 some odd cents for a gallon of diesel fuel. This year I'm paying almost $6 a gallon for diesel fuel. These costs have tripled, and the farmer has to pay them up front, people. You know, not behind, and you know, not when we sell our crop. All of these costs are upfront costs, and we really don't know what we're going to sell our commodity for, you know, at harvest time. So the administration hasn't put things in place to help us, and what they're saying is, you know, crop insurance for a farmer like myself. Crop insurance comes last, people. I'm going to buy seed and all of the other implements that I just spoke about, fertilizer and lime and all these things. Those things have to be bought first, and crop insurance comes last. The way to fix it is to put things in place to help America's farmers right now and put America's farmers first. The administration isn't talking enough about the plight of what's going on with America's farmers. We're losing farmers every year that we don't take action, and that's going to hurt us here at home. High cost of food, that's going to affect every American that walks into the supermarket. And my question today is, have you been to the supermarket lately and looked at these food prices? We have to find a way to invest in infrastructure for farmers and put farmers first and put more small-scale farmers back into business.
John, before we let you go, does the Washington Ivory Tower elite know what you're going through? Do they know what it's like to farm? Do they know what it's like to walk into a supermarket to have to pay $10 for a loaf of bread? Do they know that?
Well, I tell you right now, farming is the hardest occupation known to man. It never stops. It's 7 days a week. And it's the only occupation, people, that's not Republican, it's not Democrat. That dirt on the ground, that soil that I farm every day, doesn't ask me what color I am, what I look like. It just asks, can I farm and raise that commodity? The administration has to look at agriculture and farming in that aspect and fix the problem for the American farmers in this country. If not, we're going to be on the losing end. And I think a lot of people are going to show up to the polls and make those decisions in the coming months, with midterm elections coming. So the administration needs to act. And, you know, I'm here again asking for the meeting with the president because he committed to that. And the way I was raised by my daddy, John Boyd Sr., a very humble farmer, when you give the man his word, you need to honor your word. So I'm hopeful that the administration will come to the table and meet with me and address these longstanding problems that we have here.
There are only a few.
You heard what he just said? They need to stand to their word. Man, this devil. This is Psalms chapter 55 in verse, what is that, 20? They ain't gonna stick to their word. They never have. You know how many treaties these devils made with the North American Indians and Seminole Indians, and they break every one? These devils ain't finna hold to their word, man. And furthermore, like we keep saying, this is the Lord's doing, man. He destroying this place, and it got to go down. You got to remember, this is the upside to this, man. This kingdom got to go down so the Heavenly Father Yahweh can establish His Son's kingdom. This is Psalms 55:20. Tell me, they stick to their word. It reads, He hath put forth His hand against such as be at peace with Him. And this applies to these devils, when these conquistadors and Spaniards, when they came over here to Gad and Reuben and to Gad, Reuben, and Issachar, man, the North American Indians, Seminole Indians, and the so-called Mexicans, man. These devils made a lot of treaties and they break every one. They've been doing it for years, man. It say He hath put forth His hand against such as be at peace with Him. He hath broken His covenant. The words of His mouth were smoother than butter, but war is in His heart. But war was in His heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawing swords, man. And this devil, Cristobal Colon, said he couldn't even put his sword down, going against these Gadites and Reubenites, man. Nobody trusts these devils, man. Let me get this. In Job 24:23, North America got to go down, man. They got to go down. This is how the kingdom of heaven start to look like, man. These devils got to go down, and they got to start somewhere. So what's happening? The Lord got these devils, and the Lord playing with these devils' mind. Proverbs 21:1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. He got them playing with these numbers. Got the world thinking, but this is how they get the world to conform to their ways. They got it's called agendas, right? It's called problem, reaction, solution. They create the problem, the people react, everybody want to go to the polls and what shall we do? What can we do to change this? That's what these devils do. Because the elites fund both sides of everything, man. It's a game to get you slow bellies out there to take that MOTB, man. All this is boiling down to get you to take the mark of the beast, man. This is Job 24:23. Though it be given him to be in safety, whereon he resteth, to these devils, yet his eyes are upon their ways, meaning the Lord, through the angels. They are exalted for a little while, but are gone and brought low. See, that brought low is them going back to the basis of men. That's why the Lord told Satan, on thy belly shall thou go, meaning to be brought low. It say, they are exalted for a little while, but are gone and brought low. They are taken out of the way as all other. So as all other kingdoms fail, right? The Syrian Empire, the Babylonian Empire, right? The Medo-Persian Empire, the Greek Empire, the Roman Empire, they are exalted for a little while, but are gone and brought low. They are taken out of the way as all other, and cut off as the tops of the ears of corn. And if it be not so, who will make me a liar and make my speech nothing worth? This is the Lord saying, and if it be not so, if I don't take them down like I did the last kingdoms, who will make me a liar and make my speech nothing worth? Who want to make the Lord a liar? But this is how the kingdom goes down. Inflation, food, economy. The economy is collapsing, man. This whole economic system of Babylon the Great is crashing, man. I got one more clip. Actually, I got two more clips. We in some beautiful times, man. It's going to get a little rough, but the Lord say He's going to cover the hopeful elect, man. So let's see here. So check this out.
Between two countries, the war, every country on the planet. It has led to food shortage. It has disrupted global trade, and now there is a global energy crisis. Almost every continent is facing shortages. Ecuador and South Africa are running low on fuel. South Asia is struggling too. Sri Lanka is the worst hit, of course, but Pakistan is close.
And look, remember, South Africa is a part of the BRICS nations. That's what the S stand for, South Africa. The BRICS nation is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Okay? This ain't finna go on for, hey, man. Hey, them BRICS nations finna move, man. The Lord, hey, that's the Lord's weapons of war, man. That's the Lord's armory, the BRIC nations, man.
There are repeated power cuts. Offices have cut short their work weeks in Pakistan.
Oh, and you already know hold on. You already know what's going on here in Sri Lanka. Okay? They ran the president off, man. Hey, man, this is the Lord, man. We in some real serious times, man. And Jake thinks this is a game because it hasn't hit Babylon the Great yet, but it has. Look at California. Look at Skid Row. And it's getting worse. Homelessness is getting worse, man. And guess what? The Lord said the whole flood gonna be pilgrims on the earth too, man. We ain't gonna be standing in apartments and houses neither. It's gonna come upon a time we're gonna be pilgrims, man. That's why the Lord say He's taking away the whole stay and staff. Staff meaning you get to lean against this. Okay? This is your protection, your comfort. He said He's taking away the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread and the whole stay of water, man. He's taking away the comfort of food and you get to hide in a pavilion. No, we're gonna be pilgrims, man. And the Lord is showing us what it's gonna look like, man.
Is closed. There are repeated power cuts. Offices have cut short their work weeks in Pakistan. In Panama, the situation is getting out of hand. Rising fuel prices have led to a violent pushback.
Man, people pissed off, man, with this devil, man.
Protests are on in Ghana, Cameroon, Argentina, and Peru too. People are angry about surging prices and shortages across the board. Developing economies are struggling. What about the developed nations? Well, they've managed fine so far. The US is facing a slowdown, but it could avoid a recession. That's what their Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, has said. She believes that a downturn is no longer inevitable. And she gives two reasons for that. Number one, the unemployment numbers. Unemployment still remains low in the US. Less than 4% of Americans don't have a job, which is obviously a good thing. It's a low figure. Reason number two is consumer spending. It is not growing at a rapid pace in the US, and that helps when you're trying to contain inflation. Simple economics. Less spending means less demand, and less demand means less price rise. In the month of May, consumer spending in the US grew by 0.2%. So they may just be able to avoid a recession. It's still early days, but that's the projection. But what is clear is that their economy will slow down. Yellen says it's unavoidable, the slowdown. Plus, they have another problem. The US dollar is becoming stronger by the day. Today, it is the strongest it has been in a generation. Now, why is that a problem? Why is a strong dollar a problem? A strong dollar hurts businesses.
Worthless paper,
Businesses
man.
in America and elsewhere are losing billions because the dollar is more expensive now. You see, multinational companies earn in other currencies too. But when they convert those earnings into dollars, they have lesser money, lesser value. Let me give you some examples. Computing giant IBM has issued a warning. The company says it will lose as much as $3.5 billion in revenues because the dollar is strong. Johnson & Johnson could lose $4 billion in sales. Cigarette manufacturer Philip Morris stands to lose $500 million. Netflix estimates it has taken a hit of $339 million in sales. Like I said, these are multinational companies. A large chunk of their revenues comes from outside the US. So when the dollar goes up, it reduces the value of their earnings. Also, these numbers, which I just shared, are mere projections at the moment. The losses could mount if the dollar appreciates further. Businesses are under strain across the world. In Germany, experts say the economy is on the brink of recession. And they give three reasons why. Number one is a muted pandemic recovery. Number two, rampant inflation. Number three, shortages. German businesses fear a serious shortage of energy supplies like gas, and that would hurt business activity. It would make the economy contract. In fact, businesses are going under already. Last week, Berlin bailed out a gas company. It was the largest importer of Russian gas. We know that Russia has cut supplies to Europe over Western sanctions. Now, this company could not survive those cuts. It was about to go bankrupt. That's when the German government stepped in. It will pump more than $7 billion to rescue this company. But how many companies can governments rescue? Italy, too, is planning a cash infusion. A stimulus package of more than $13 billion is being prepared. There are, in fact, warnings of a serious recession in Europe. Italians are struggling with rising inflation. So the government plans to spend these $13 billion to give them some relief. The money will be used to control electricity, gas, and petrol prices. But it may not be enough. Last week, Italian Prime Minister Mario Draghi resigned. A snap election will be held in September. Europe has not been hit by recession yet.
And you see these people here? Hold on. These people here good, man. They eating good, man. Okay? These Congress peoples and these Senates, they eating good, man. Don't be no fool, man.
Will be held in September. Europe has not been hit by recession yet, but the economic turmoil is already taking down governments. Italy is the first. It may not be the last.
Now, I got one more clip here. The Lord say when you're reading, let me read this real quick. In Leviticus 26 and 33, it reads, "And I will scatter you among the heathen, and will draw out a sword after you, and your land shall be desolate, and your cities waste." The Lord said He's going to scatter us among the heathen and send a sword after us, man. The sword is famine and pestilence, and these devils, modern day guns, man. Let me get this last clip here. On top of all that, and Lord willing, this play out too. Hopefully, when I saw this, I'm like, man, Lord willing, the mark of the beast will be mandatory, and World War III will break forth. Look at this. I got this when I woke up earlier today on my smart news. Check this out. Russia to withdraw from International Space Station in 2024. Hopefully everything will be playing out and World War III will be in the midst, man.
Continue our coverage now of the breaking news that came out just minutes ago.
Yeah, the newly appointed Russian space chief, Yuri Borisov, announcing the country will leave the International Space Station in 2024.
And this is where we want to bring in our Joe St. George, the expert. And Joe, this just broke. So what does it mean, but especially for Southern Colorado, where we're currently home to Schriever Space Force Base?
Yeah, you know, a lot of folks in Colorado Springs, El Paso County, Southern Colorado, they're paying attention to space, right? They're paying attention to the future of where we go as a country and as a global society. And really what this news coming out of Russia, to some degree, it's not surprising. I mean, when Russia invaded Ukraine and when Russia went against the wishes of Western leaders, from President Biden to the Prime Minister of Great Britain, it was almost a return to the Cold War. If for folks that are familiar with history, I mean, the space race was a big reason that we ended up putting somebody on the moon first, is because we didn't want the Soviets to do it first. So this very much continues a familiar theme that we've seen from Vladimir Putin's Russia, and that is a return to more isolation, a return to not participating in these global organizations. And really, the International Space Station was meant to build cooperation through space so that we as a human race here on Earth could learn more. But you can see the political divide. It just continues, and to some degree, not surprising news. And this further makes Russia an adversary of the United States.
Yeah, more.
And rightfully so. The Lord say in Ezekiel 38, He's going to use Russia to destroy Babylon the Great. So this is Ezekiel 7:14. It reads, "They have blown the trumpet, even to make all ready, but none go up to the battle." So the Lord got His men blowing this trumpet to prepare yourself for what's about to go down, man. That's what these men is doing in the highways and hedges on a unicorn every day, man. Letting you know that these things is finna play out. It's happening real time. But Jake is still proud because it hasn't hit their household yet. When it hits your household, it's gonna be too late. You already have been warned, man. See, the Lord got men prepping you right now for what's about to happen, man. And this ain't telling you to go get money for a bunker or go to stockpile food up, man. There's a law that these devil got in place. As a matter of fact, let me get this real quick. There's a law that these devil got in place. If you have over a week's worth of food, they can come and take your food, man. Let me get it here real quick. It's called rainy day food storage, right? It's a what is martial law? It's a temporary rule by military authorities imposed on a civilian population, especially in times of war or when civil authority has broken down. It may also be used during outbreaks of deadly illnesses. The law imposed on an occupied territory by occupying military forces among aspects of martial law are censorship of radio and newspaper, prohibition of the sale of consumption of alcohol beverages, prohibition of gatherings of more than 5 persons in the streets, and a requirement of a permit from the local military authorities before any public meeting can be held. Religious meetings inside may be tolerated by authorities. So you ain't gonna be able to go out. It's a held at hours not conflicting with the curfew. And this happened during the time in 2020 when this whole thing had took flight, man. Just say in rare cases, martial law has been in effect with armed soldiers barring citizens from being out of doors after sunset. And this is going to play out. Now, let's say interesting facts. Martial law can be declared due to natural disaster, stock market crash. It's a no electricity, riots, biological attack, and anything leading to the breakdown of law and order. The following is a list of executive orders that are now signed into law. Executive Order 12656, assignment of emergency preparedness responsibility. A national emergency is an occurrence include natural disaster, military attack, technological emergencies, or other emergencies that seriously degrades or seriously threatens the national security of the United States. Policy for national security emergency preparedness shall be established by the president. This order includes federal takeover of all local law enforcement agencies, wage and price controls, prohibits you from moving assets in or out of the United States, creates a draft controls all travel and out of the United States, and much more. It's a Executive Order 10995, seizure of all communications, media, radio, television, newspaper, CB and ham radio, telephones, and the internet, in effect, suspicion of the First Amendment. Executive Order 10997, seizure of all electrical power and fossil fuels. Executive Order 10998, seizure of all food source, farms, and farm equipment. Food will be rationed. Today, some states have anti-hoarding laws on the books stating that anything over 1 week's supply of food is considered hoarding and against the law. Executive Order 1099, seizure of all transportation and control of all highways, interstates, and seaports. Any vehicle, public or private, can be taken. Executive Order 11,000, seizure of all civilians for work under federal supervision. Seizure of all civilians for work under federal supervision, man. Executive Order 11,003, seizure of all airports and aircraft, public and private. Seizure Order 11,004, housing and financial giving authority for population relocation. That's these FEMA camps that they call them detention centers. They lock in the Northern Kingdom, Issachar, right, the so-called Mexicans, separating the kids. Okay? These things is order on the books, man. So again, Ezekiel 7:14, there's something coming that has never happened on the earth before, man. And the Lord is preparing us for what's coming. Ezekiel 7:14, they have blown the trumpet, even to make all ready, but none go up to the battle. And that's 2/3, because they trust in the government. For my wrath is upon all the multitude thereof. The sword is without, and the pestilence and the famine within. He that is in the field shall die with the sword, and he that is in the city, famine and pestilence shall devour him. The brother put his precept up in 2nd Ezra 16 and verse 39. It reads, hold on, let's go up a little bit. 2nd Ezra 16 and 38. It reads, as when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. Right? Verse 39. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. Now, why is these sorrows is going to come upon the earth on every side? When you read in Psalms 12 and 8, it reads this. As it tell you in Job 9 and 24, the earth is given to the hand of the wicked, right? This is Psalms 12 and 8. When the wicked walk on every side, it say the wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted. So right here in this verse, it says, even so shall not the plagues be slack that come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. Where it's coming from? It's coming from Yahweh Shema Shah. Through who? Through Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Okay? The wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted. The Lord is using them. It tell you in Psalm 17 and 13. He uses these devils as a tool to destroy 2/3 of Jacob. It tell you, I just read in Leviticus 26 and 33, the Lord says he's going to scatter us among the heathen, and he's going to send a sword after us, man. Because when you go to Hosea 5 and 14, it reads this. For I will be unto Ephraim, that's the northern kingdom, as a lion, and as a young lion to the house of Judah. I will tear and go away. I will take away, and none shall rescue him. This is the Lord bringing judgment upon us, man. Okay? That's the Lord that's doing this, man. For I will be unto Ephraim as a lion, and as a young lion to the house of Judah. I will tear and go away. I will take away, and none shall rescue him. This is the Lord bringing this judgment, man. For 2/3 of Jacob, because they refuse to repent and turn back to the Lord. Therefore, judgment will proceed, man. And it's been happening every day. So, 2 Ezra 16 and 40, it reads, O my people, hear my word, make you ready to thy battle, because it's Jacob's trouble. And in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth. And that's why we constantly tell you, man, as it said in Amos 5 and 13, when Jacob's trouble take flight, this truth going to be gone, man. It's going to be hid. So whatever you have in your tank, when these things start to happen, that's what you're going to be running off. And if you're running off fumes, oh boy, you through. Amos 5 and 13, therefore the prudent shall keep silent in that time, for it is an evil time, man. The Lord is simply saying, let's get this. In Isaiah 55 and 6, it reads, seek ye Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. The Lord is here. He's near right now, man. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts, and let him returneth unto the Lord, and he will have mercy upon him, and to our power, for he will abundantly pardon, man. The Lord is near right now, man. The doors of mercy are still open, but it's closing. And 2/3 of Jake, they have no clue. This is not for 2/3. This is for the hopeful elect, man. So keep praying to the Lord further give you understanding, man. That's what the Lord said. Let me get this in Psalms 19. The Lord in Deuteronomy chapter 4, the Lord gave his laws, statutes, and commandments to you so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians, man. So this is Psalms 19:7. It reads, the law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure. What's the testimonies? The tokens, prophecy, man. It's the testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple, man. The testimonies of the Lord are these. Jeremiah 28:8, it reads, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries, against great kingdoms, of war and of evil and of pestilence, man. And there's nothing doing in the sun. These things are going to play out again, man. They always have. So, repent, man. The kingdom of heaven is at hand, and we ain't going to be here forever, man. We ain't going to be here long, man. This devil, hey, Russia said they separate themselves, and that's the Lord, man. Lord willing, we don't be here till no 2024, man. Lord willing, man. Because I'm sick of this place. I'm sick of this place, man. And I was finna get Lamentations 4:9, right? Read these two precepts and I'm gonna close up. So Lamentations 4:9 read, they that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. The Lord said it's better to get gunned down, to get killed by a sword. Modern day swords are these guns. They that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. For these pine away. That's a slow death to die of famine. For these pine away, stricken through for want of the fruits of the field. Okay? It's better to get put to death than to die of starving, man. What is that? 2 Ezra 15? Let me get this. Is that 22? Or is it 2 Ezra 5:22? Let me see. I think it's 2 Ezra 5:22. Let's check. No. Is it 16? I thought it was in 15. Let me see here. Bear with me for a second. Oh, here's another one. This is 2 Ezra 6:22. It say, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, right? And that's these farmlands that this devil BG buying up, Bill Gates buying up all these farmlands, the original hot boy BG. It say 2 Ezra 6:22, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. With these grocery stores, it say the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty, man. And that's what we're seeing. Let me get this. I want to find it. I think it's 2 Ezra 16. I think it's 16:22, if I'm mistaken. Let's see. Yeah. This 2 Ezra 16:22, it reads. So it say the full storehouse shall suddenly be found empty, man. These grocery stores are gonna be empty. And these devils talk about it's at least 3 days of food in these grocery stores. Man, listen. If everybody in your city hit those grocery stores at once, ain't no 3 days of food in them grocery stores, man. These people lying, man. 2 Ezra 16:22, it reads, for many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine. Like it said in Lamentations 4:9, it say it's better to die by the sword than to die by famine, right? 2 Ezra 16:22, for many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. So either way, if you don't die by famine, you're gonna die by the sword, man. Let's get that in Amos 5:18. It reads, woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. To what end is it for you? The day of the Lord is darkness and not light. As if a man did flee from a lion, and a bear met him, or went into the house and leaned his hand on the wall, and a serpent bit him. Should not the day of the Lord be darkness and not light, even very dark and no brightness in it? So if you're running from a lion and you just so happen to get away and you come across a bear, you're already out of breath. Running from a lion, you got to have some real good maneuvering. And you come across a bear, grizzly bear, black bear, it don't matter. They both is vicious. You just so happen to get away from the bear. You done got away from a lion and a bear. So you got away from famine. You got away from the sword. So you ain't get caught by, you ain't die by famine. You ain't die by the sword. You run into a house and say, and you trying to get your breath, take a breath, or you keep it moving, and a serpent bites you, man. So you get away from famine, you get away from the sword. Then what? You still gonna get caught. Somebody gonna get you, man. Cause hey, at that time, it tell you in Isaiah 9, people is gonna be eating, it's gonna be cannibals out here, man. People are gonna be looking for you, man. Food. Or you might get caught one of these troops and then thrown in a concentration camp. Okay, one of these FEMA camps. The Lord saying there is no escaping his judgment. That's the 2/3. In Amos 9:10, it reads this: all the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, either famine or pestilence or the sword. It's all weapons of the Lord, man. All the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, which say the evil shall not overtake nor prevent us. That's a proud nigga there. Oh, ain't nothing gonna happen to me. You got Jake got their guns. Man, these devils getting you hand-me-down. Your little ARs and AKs and whatever you got, those are hand-me-downs. These devils got weapons they can point at you and give you a heart attack. Okay? These devils got all type of, they showed you in the movie, what's this movie called? The First Purge. When Jake was finna go into the building to save this girl and her brother, they shot Jake down with drones, man. And Jake think they got something going on with their rocket launchers and their vests, man. These devils, those are hand-me-downs, man. These devils got drones, man. But there is no escaping the judgment of Yahweh Shema Shah. Let me get this. In Zephaniah 3:5, it reads, the just Lord is in the midst thereof. He will not do iniquity. Every morning doeth he bring his judgment to light. He faileth not, but the unjust knoweth no shame. Oh, that's what I was going to get. See, the Lord say, we supposed to know judgment, man. This is Micah 3:1, and it reads, and I said, here I pray you, O heads of Jacob, and ye princes of the house of Israel, is it not for you to know judgment? We supposed to know and deal justly and understand what's going on, man. This is us keeping watch. Let's get this in Ephesians 5. Ephesians 5:15 reads, see then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. It said in Psalm 19:7, right? Making wise the simple. It say, redeeming the time because the days are evil. Wherefore be ye not unwise, but understand what the will of the Lord is. And the will of the Lord is preparing yourself for what's about to go down, man. It's saying, be not drunk with wine. It ain't talking about wine. It's talking about philosophies of the world, okay? It's talking about the philosophies of the world, man. And be not drunk with wine, wherein it's excess, but be filled with the Spirit. Because there's only one sound doctrine. There's only one truth, man. One gospel, one faith, okay? The Lord is warning us to prepare ourselves for the battle, man. That's the time we in. Jacob's trouble, man. Daniel 12:1, Jeremiah 30:7, man. Hey, so Lord was edifying. Got to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. Let's read this. Bahashem Rikak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elder bishops and elders of great millstone who rule well, who teach well. You are the apostles and elders of all Israel, ready to accept it or not. And a sincere salutation to all the doctrine, pushing this truth and believing this truth. But the four winds of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hopeful elect. And shalom to the Akwath who are listening to learning. You few sisters who are listening to learning. Lord was edifying. To next time I'll say shalom. Wa abba. Let's close this brother precept. To all for tuning in. May Yahweh Shema shall continue blessing your houses. Stay prayed up. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 9. They that put their trust in him shall understand the truth, and such as be faithful in love shall abide with him. For grace and mercy is to his saints, and he have care for his elect, man. 2/3 gonna lose their life grievously because the Lord don't care for them, man. As I always say, they just casualties of war and collateral damage, man. These devils don't care about us, man. This nigga, Anthony Fauci, said we are vulnerable, man. He said you African Americans, which we are not. How the hell can we be named after two so-called white people? Leo Scipio Africanus and Amerigo Vespucci. He said you African Americans and you Latinos are vulnerable. Well, that's 2/3. Because the hopeful elect is not vulnerable. We have a covering. We have a defense. We have protection. Okay? We are fortified. They just don't know whose it is. They don't know who it is, man. But we know. So, shalom.